It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
Remix to ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing.
NFL draft and always drama surrounding the New York Jets. The Jets made a great pick in round one going out to get Darren Lee, but in round two, the Jets really did this.
To announce the New York Jets selection, please welcome from Marshall University, the 18th overall pick in the 2000 draft by the New York Jets, quarterback Chad Pennington.
With the 51st pick in the 2016 NFL draft, the New York Jets select quarterback Christian Hackenberg, Penn State.
Love Chad Pennington. Hate the pick of Christian Hackenberg. Multiple reasons. Number one, Christian Hackenberg had a great freshman season at Penn State, okay? He was named a freshman All-American. He was Big Ten Freshman of the Year, all that in 2013. Nearly 3,000 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, only 10 picks, 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He took Penn State from the depths of the Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky scandal, and he started to bring Penn State back. He was great as a freshman. As a sophomore, not so much. How about 12 touchdowns and 15 picks? How about this year going 16 touchdowns and 6 picks? Only 16 touchdowns. Yeah, only 6 picks. But where is the impact there for a second-round player? His accuracy has declined every single year. I mean, he's only 54% of his passes completed this season. He did not live up to the hype in the past 2 years. Christian Hackenberg, number one. Do I think he's a great quarterback? No. Do I think he warrants a second-round pick? No. That's the first strike for the Jets. Second strike is you drafted Bryce Petty last year. You have a project quarterback already on your roster. You have Geno Smith. You have Bryce Petty. If you think you need to just go through quarterback rotation after quarterback rotation until you find one that hits, then go sign Brian Hoyer. Go trade for Mike Glennon. The Bucs don't need him with Jameis Winston. Go find another answer at quarterback. You do not need to waste a valuable second-round pick on a quarterback that is not ready to play now and will not be ready to play next year either. Look, the narrative for the Jets, I saw someone on Twitter say it, and they're absolutely right. The narrative for the Jets this season does not change, okay? They still need to bring back Ryan Fitzpatrick if they want to win. Ryan Fitzpatrick, not the long-term answer at quarterback, so you go try to find a long-term answer in the draft. Christian Hackenberg, Bryce Petty, not the short-term answer, so you bring back Fitz. So from that perspective, having a young quarterback on your roster makes sense, but you already have that young quarterback in Bryce Petty. If you don't believe in him, then come out and say you don't believe in him. We made a mistake last year taking Bryce Petty in the 4th round. If you do believe in him, then groom him, develop him, get him to a point where he knows your offense. Yes, we know he played at Baylor. We know he ran the spread. We know he wasn't under center. But you still spent a 4th-round pick on him. Go and develop him. Bring back Fitz. And if you can't bring back Fitz, go get Brian Hoyer. Go get Sam Bradford. Go get Mike Glennon, someone else who's your stopback quarterback until Bryce Petty is given a fair chance. The Jets have a lot of needs. They have a lot of needs on this roster, okay? This is a team that was one game away from the playoffs a year ago. It's a team that is looking to take advantage of the Tom Brady 4-game suspension. It's a team that is built to win now. Aging superstars. And Fitz if he's there. Darrelle Revis, Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker, Matt Forte. This team is built to win now, and they just spent their second-round pick on a project for the future. The Jets made a colossal mistake in picking Christian Hackenberg. Not saying if they didn't get if they got Christian Hackenberg in the 5th round, 6th round, then fine. I understand that is a future building spot. But the second-round pick for a team that was one game away from the playoffs, that just lost Damon Harrison on the defensive line. They just lost Damon Harrison on the defensive line. You couldn't go replace him. They may end up trading and losing Muhammad Wilkerson. Go get him. You have trouble at linebacker. Sure, you addressed it in round one with Darren Lee. You need a tight end. You need another back to be paired with Forte. So there are options there that were available for the Jets that they did not take advantage of. I mean, who went right after Christian Hackenberg, the Jets could have gotten. They could have gotten Deion Jones, an outside linebacker from LSU. They could have gotten Mackenzie Alexander, one of the highest-rated defensive backs from Clemson. They could have gotten a wide receiver, a playmaker in Tyler Boyd to pair with Marshall and Decker. They could have gotten offensive line help. They could have gotten secondary help. T.J. Green, Cyrus Jones is defensive back from Alabama. He goes to the Patriots. Adam Gotsis, defensive tackle from Georgia Tech, he goes to Denver. All of these are positions of need for the Jets. They need to figure out their quarterback situation, but they did not figure it out with the pick of Christian Hackenberg. Brady Farkas here, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region, taking you home until 10 a.m. This morning. And then reminder, this afternoon, special edition Capital Region Sports Saturday, 4 to 6 p.m. I'm doing double duty today, 4 to 6 p.m. Starting then, Zach By, voice of the UAlbany Great Danes, he will be joining me for that second half, and he's going to be in here as well, too, in a couple of minutes. So, speaking of UAlbany, though, the UAlbany lacrosse team, 5th in the country right now, a huge win against Yale last weekend. And we go to the phone lines now where we find ourselves Corey McLaughlin. He's the deputy editor of Lacrosse Magazine. We'd love to talk to him when we want to talk lacrosse on the national scope. Corey, UAlbany, number 5 nationally. Are they that good, or have some of the other teams around them who we think of as powers just faltered? They're ranked ahead. North Carolina, Duke, Syracuse. Are they that good, or have other teams just faltered?
Well, obviously, it's well, first off, thanks for having me. But obviously, it's been a crazy season with a lot of, the traditional teams and names that a lot of fans and lacrosse people are used to, losing a lot of games early in the season. And then Albany is just kind of, they lost some games early in the season, too. They opened, with Syracuse, lost that game, then lost to Maryland in the middle of March. But since then, they won 8 straight. And I think the Yale win last weekend in overtime really, that was a signature win of the season, and that was against a top 5 team at the time. So there's really no reason to not have Albany up there in the rankings. Those rankings have changed throughout the year, but Albany's been pretty consistent. In the top 10 this year. They've lost to Syracuse, but that was a long, long time ago in season terms. And Maryland's probably one of the top 4 or 5 teams in the country and could make the championship game again. So I think they're right about where they should be at this point in the season, which, considering all the, some of the questions coming into the year with, basically what would happen without Lyle Thompson, I think they're pretty happy with themselves at this point.
I was just going to go there. I read a story that you guys had in your magazine about a week ago that it echoed the sentiment I think a lot of people around here had, that, well, without the Thompsons or without any Thompsons, this team's going to be pretty good in their own league, but nationally they're going to struggle to maintain relevancy. Is it possible that they're a better team without any Thompsons? Is that possible?
It's hard to say any team is better when you take away a player like Lyle Thompson. I'm sure any team would love to have him, so I don't think I'd say that. But they, I think what was created during Lyle and Miles' time there, as far as the good vibes around the program and all of that, I think has carried over into this season. And talking with Scott Marr before the season started, the first guy he would mention is Blaze Reardon, the goalie, as far as he's going to probably have to be their best player this season. And you look at what he's done, he's been great. He's got close to 60% save percentage, which is really good. And then he's come up big in some big games, including that Yale game. He had, 2 saves in the start of overtime and, after giving one up at the end of the regulation. So I think just the whole, attitude that they have is, carries over from last season and the last, that run of success that they've had.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. On the phone, Corey McLaughlin, Lacrosse Magazine. Corey, you mentioned Blaze in the cage, but offensively, this team, Seth Oaks, Connor Fields, what's the buzz around these guys nationally?
Nationally there hasn't been a ton, really, but I think, everybody became aware of Connor Fields last year, when he scored the most goals as a freshman ever. And then, Seth Oaks, I think people as we get into the tournament time, I think people will kind of, remember him again too, as far as, he seems to come up clutch in a lot of situations. 37 goals, which is a lot. I think they're right there in that kind of that All-American discussion. As Blaze Reardon, I think he should be. I think, with midseason, I had him as the top goalie in the country, and I think, he doesn't get as much credit as he should for being the kind of stopper that he is, just because of, the goal he scored last year against Cornell going end to end and kind of the flashy plays he can make. But he's a really good goalie, and I don't think his presence should be understated.
Corey, I saw a bracket projection that had Albany playing Syracuse in the NCAA tournament. Now, we know a lot can happen between now and the time the brackets come out. But could Albany beat Syracuse this time around? Because they got handled pretty good by the Orange earlier this season.
Yeah, it'd be that'd be a fun matchup, as we get into tournament time. And it's really all about, you look at these first round and quarterfinal matchups and who matches up against who. I think Albany has as good a chance, probably a better chance than they had in that opener, where they were, that one wasn't that close. I've been really, impressed with Albany's, face-off game, just given the fact, last year, they had a Connor Russell towards ACL towards the end of last year, and, Zach Ornstein step in, and he's above 50% overall individually. And as a team, they're about middle of the pack. So I think as long as they can, get possessions, I think, they'll have a chance of beating Syracuse. Now, Syracuse has, some great, great talent, obviously, and Ben Williams on face-offs, and that'll be a big matchup, I think, if that game happens. There's a lot to be determined, between now and then, and who knows if that projection will hold up. But I think Albany's got a chance, whoever they play in the first round.
Corey McLaughlin, Lacrosse Magazine, with us, Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda. Corey, for no particular reason, I seem to avoid Barstool Sports, but in reading your guys' column about a week ago, I've learned that the Albany lacrosse team has come to national fame because of Barstool Sports. What is that all about?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. A couple of weeks ago, it was relatively harmless, thankfully. That's where they kind of just went through the Albany's website and through their their headshots and just kind of just riffing on the various funny looks that they had going on there, which they do and which they have had in past years too. It's funny. I got picked up recently. But the important part about that is, Coach, Scott Marr thought it was funny too, and this kind of reflects, the vibe that they have going on. We had one of our writers, and he's an ESPN broadcaster, Eamon McEnany. He wrote a column last week, and Derek Eccles, who was one of the kids in that Barstool Sports article, had a great quote in there. Just I think kind of sums up their whole season. Says, or their whole vibe and attitudes, it's just guys being dudes, which is pretty, pretty simple, and just kind of, that's really what you need to know about Albany, just the approach that they have. And it's unlike, it's different than some teams in the lacrosse world, and I think that's a good thing for them, and that they have, good vibes at practice and headed into games and everything. It's pretty relaxed. So, if Barstool Sports picks it up, they picked it up, and it wasn't that bad. So.
Corey McLaughlin, deputy editor, Lacrosse Magazine, with us, 104.5 The Team, 104.5theteam.com. We were just talking about Syracuse a second ago. We switch over to the women's game, where on Syracuse we find Capital Region native Kayla Trainer, one of the elite players in the country. She's on the cover of the May edition of your magazine, as far as I recall, and she's been a Tewaaraton Award finalist the last 2 years. Is this the year she's going to break down the door and win the award?
So, yeah, you're right. She's on the cover of our May issue, along with Taylor Cummings. As far as, they've been linked throughout their college careers, and they will be, past, this season too, when they go on and play with Team USA as teammates. But, yeah, basically, her Tewaaraton chances, she's finished, behind Taylor Cummings, who's one of the, greatest women's lacrosse players, that we've seen. And, Kayla has been, basically a finalist each of those years. So and the story within the magazine kind of goes into it a little bit as far as her impact, on Syracuse and having more of an impact on draws and whether that will help her Tewaaraton case, because a lot of times, on the women's side, it's been midfield heavy as far as the winners of the Tewaaraton. And so Kayla being, taking more draws and having more impact in the midfield could help her chances down the road. And that said, but a lot of it kind of depends on team success too. And I'm sure either Cummings or Trainer would prefer a team win over the individual awards. But the way that postseason award goes, a lot of times it's tied to team success. So she's got a great chance. If Syracuse makes a run and wins it.
Corey McLaughlin, deputy editor, Lacrosse Magazine. We love his work. He's all over everything on Twitter. Follow him at Corey_MCL. Corey, we'll talk to you again come playoff time, and hopefully it's a deep run for both Kayla Trainer and then the UAlbany Great Danes on the men's side. We appreciate the time.
Great. Yep. Have a good one.
You too, Corey McLaughlin. Love talking to him. Obviously, just super in tune to what's going on around the world of lacrosse. And yeah, I do avoid Barstool Sports for the most part. But gave some playful jabs at UAlbany, and as Corey said, they kept it tasteful over there at Barstool. So anything that gets Albany, gets the Capital Region on the national stage is okay with me. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. And at Mohawk Honda, they strive for perfection every day by providing the most impeccable customer service, because that is the key to any success. And they try to do things right all the time for their entire family of customers. Yes, they have over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available to select from. Yes, they're open extended hours in all of their departments to better service you. Yes, you can shop over 10 acres of savings opportunities. Or you know what? You want to sit on your couch? Go online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com. And yes, they'll provide you the lowest, no-hassle prices to better suit your budget. A business can have all of those great features, but without providing the customer with the professional service experience they've always been looking for and deserve, nothing else matters. At Mohawk Honda, they also have over 180 trained automotive experts going above and beyond to make sure all your needs are met. Shop the convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the #1 automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. We are a month and a half away from the opening of the Tri-City Valley Cats' 15th anniversary season. Well, their all-time 15th anniversary team was released this week. We'll break it down next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
It's a Saturday morning tradition now. Have to go with the Taylor Swift bumper music. It's here. I gotta play it. A little change up. Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Tri-City Valley Cats open up their season at Joe Bruno Stadium on June 17th. It is the 15th anniversary of the Valley Cats. And you know what? You take for granted the players that have come through Joe Bruno Stadium. And the reason why is because the Valley Cats are short season, okay? They only play 70-plus games, 76 games, 38 of which are at home and then the playoffs. So you don't get a chance to really see them all that often. You don't get a chance to get attached to them. I mean, their season is half of the Major League season, okay? There are guys that are constantly fluctuating levels at the low levels, okay? Guys get to AAA, they stay there for a while. Guys get to AA, they stay there for a year. Here, it could be 2 weeks and move up or move down. So you don't get a chance to draw the attachment. And also because it's the second lowest level in the rung up towards the majors, it's always like, it's low A ball. How many of these guys are going to make it? Maybe one, maybe two. But you don't realize just the guys that you have seen come through Troy in the last 15 years. The 15th anniversary Valley Cats team, just the pitchers alone, okay? How about Dallas Keuchel? Spent 2009 with the Valley Cats. He's the American League Cy Young winner. He's the American League Gold Glove winner at pitcher, one of the top pitchers in the American League. He was here in Troy. How about Bud Norris, who's one of the earliest Valley Cats to make it, pitched for Houston, has pitched for Baltimore, is now pitching with the Braves. He's forgotten about because he's playing for the Braves, who are awful. But Bud Norris, he came through Troy. You've got Michael Feliz, who's a young up-and-coming arm who's with Houston right now, one of their young relievers, that nucleus of guys that's helping to turn around the Astros. How about Joe Musgrove? How about a guy here who's a guy who overcame injury and trade, who's one of the top prospects in the organization, number 8, I believe, on the MLB.com top 30. This is a guy you're going to see soon enough. He just pounds the strike zone. He's got great stuff. When I worked for the Valley Cats 2 years ago, he was a guy who was in Tri-City at the same time, has great stuff. How about Chris Alameda, local fans, Waterville Elite product. I mean, pitcher who came from D3 Oneonta State, made it to pro ball. I saw him pitch back in the day with the Valley Cats. He was there in 2006. How about Vince Velasquez? You talk about some of the young pitchers in baseball. You know, we pay great attention to the Mets and then the Nationals and the NL East, but don't discount what the Phillies are doing and their total rebuild. It's a total rebuild. The Phillies are hovering around 500. Vince Velasquez hit 16 strikeouts in a game 2 weeks ago. 16 strikeouts as a young arm. He played for the Valley Cats as well back in 2012. How about catcher? How about Jason Castro? Jason Castro, starter for the Astros currently. Okay? Was a Major League All-Star, if I'm not mistaken. How about Jose Altuve in the infield? Oh, by the way, 2 years ago, he just won the American League batting title. He won the American League stolen base crown. He's arguably the top hitter in the American League. I mean, he hits good pitches. He hits bad pitches. He hits ahead in the count. He hits behind in the count. He hits everything, and he's about 5'8". He would have been a guy who you easily discount when you see with the Valley Cats. Don't worry, son. He's too short. He'll never make it. Well, guess what? Starts in the playoffs. AL batting champion. AL stolen base crown. A.J. Reed, the number 2 prospect in the organization for the Astros. He's a guy who came to Houston out of Kentucky. He was a pitcher and a hitter. He pitched for the Wildcats, and he led Division I in home runs. This kid is a beast. He'll be in Houston soon enough this year. Kike Hernandez, he's a guy, Dodgers utility man, started in the playoffs last year. Ben Zobrist, you ever heard of him? He's a guy who was clamoring for the Mets to go get all offseason. They weren't able to get him. The Cubs did. He won a World Series last year with the Kansas City Royals. Ben Zobrist, another one of the early Valley Cats to make it to the pros, 2004. In the outfield, Hunter Pence, World Series champion. J.D. Martinez, one of the top hitters in the American League right now, plays with the Detroit Tigers. George Springer, one of the top prospects in baseball over the last few years, starting to come into his own. Speed, power combo. He's got it all. And he's with the Astros right now as well. He's the starting right fielder. Preston Tucker, he's in the major leagues. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The great players that have come through Tri-City, and the season starts June 17th. So, look, go to the ballpark. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the camaraderie. Enjoy the nice weather, the affordable rate. Enjoy all that, but also enjoy the baseball, because you never know who's going to be the next star that comes through Tri-City. And I'll let you guys in on a little secret here. Not 100% definite, but I'm working on next week's show to have someone from that list on next week's show. So I give no names. I make no promises, but it is in the works right now. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number 1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. I mentioned that Zach Bai and I are doing a special show this afternoon, 4 to 6 p.m., and Zach's in here right now, actually, just because we want to talk about it. The show doesn't go until 4 p.m. We're going to spend a couple hours prepping for it and getting ready. So Zach's in here now. Zach, I'm going to invite you in on this interview. We've got Clint Jackson on the phone. Clint Jackson of Rivals.com knows everything there is to know about ACC recruiting. And so North Carolina the other day offers former Guilderland star Andrew Platek a scholarship. And so, Zach, you remember this, right? Andrew Platek was at Guilderland, led the team to the Class AA final. They lost to Shen. He leaves for his senior year, goes to prep school to Northfield Mount Hermon. And he ends up in prep school. And now, 1 year later, since leaving Guilderland, he's got an offer from North Carolina. So, Clint Jackson, Rivals.com, we bring you in on the phone. Andrew Platek, an offer from UNC. Where did that come from?
I'll tell you what, it goes to show you a lot when you have a kid that size who can shoot the ball as well as he can, you know, that the high majors are willing to look at kids like that, because oftentimes a lot of these high major schools like North Carolina, they lose games to schools like Butler, and all the fans are on the board saying, you know, why can't we get some kids like that? Well, here's a kid like that.
Well, it's interesting because I actually heard Playtech visited Butler as well, so it kind of speaks to what you're saying here. Clint, let me ask you a question. We know how good of a shooter that Andrew Playtech is. That is his 1A skill set. What else does he bring to the table that has convinced Roy Williams that he could play for the Tar Heels?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, I think he's got a few of them. One, he's very crafty. He's very tough. You know, he's got good size. He's 6'4", 6'4.5" for a shooting guard. And he embraces defending the other team's best player. So he's not a one-trick pony. I think that's what, you know, the UNC staff really likes about him.
Clint, you haven't seen Andrew play yet this year on the EYBL circuit, but you did see him play last year. You're going to see him play in about the next 2 weeks as the EYBL circuit comes to your neighborhood in Virginia. What did you see from him last year that he needs to improve on that you're hoping to see that he has improved on this year?
Well, that's a good question. You know, last year I watched him because, you know, we had all the Kevin Herter mania, and I was part of that because I love that kid. And, you know, while I was watching Herter, there was the other kid out there who I was like, well, that kid's pretty good, too. He was a year behind Kevin. But, you know, we saw a guy that had good size and he could shoot. And actually, you know, with a running start, he could get above the rim. I think just, you know, being keyed on, you know, when you're about the fifth or sixth best player on a team, and I'm not saying he was, but when you're not keyed on, it's easier to go off. When you are keyed on and the other team is focused on stopping you, how well do you play, you know, under that, you know, that scenario? So I think that's what I really look for this year. But, you know, everybody loves him. He's shooting 54% from three-point range. And when you put a kid like that, and I'm not saying he, you know, if he were to play at Carolina or Indiana or somewhere, that he would be a star, but I do see him as a 4-year program player. And if you surround him with the right pieces, being guys who can penetrate and kick and, you know, big men who can score, and you leave a guy like that in space, you know, he can kill you.
Clint, another question I have, it's kind of, you know, begging here. How does a 19-year-old kid say no to Roy Williams and going to play at North Carolina?
A lot of them have, but again, a lot of them have, you know, committed to UNC. But I think that, you know, the one thing I noticed when talking to Andrew or interviewing him or hearing an interview with someone else is there's definitely a lot of, he's very fond of the program. You know, he gets excited. You know, there's a lot of kids out there that we interview them. They just give you the canned answers, you know, the media speak. This kid doesn't hide his emotions about UNC. It's a big offer for him. It's a very big deal. So, you know, I think, you know, one thing I take away from him is academics is going to be a really big part of this equation for him, and also seeing how he fits in with a guy. So I do see UNC having an excellent chance with Playtech if they were to push and, you know, keep pushing and try to get him on campus. But, you know, I think he's really going to be careful with his decision and make sure it's not an emotional one.
Capital Region Sports Saturday. Brady Farkas and Zach By sitting in here and on the phone with Clint Jackson of Rivals.com. Knows everything there is to know about college basketball recruiting, especially when it comes to the ACC. And Clint, when I last saw Andrew Playtech, he was a guy who really didn't like to go to the hoop. Zach and I were saying that he reminds us of J.J. Redick early in his college career, a guy who really didn't like to dribble in the lane and create contact and get to the rim. Do you see him in the J.J. Redick mold in his college career? Are coaches going to want to see him go to the hoop more? Or is he going to be a guy who just relies on the athletes around him to penetrate, and then he can stand on the perimeter and receive passes and shoot?
I mean, he could be. I mean, right now, I agree 100% with you guys. He's definitely a guy who doesn't like to take it to the hole because he's not as quick as some other guys. So, you know, I don't think you'll ever see him reach 5-star status with Rivals.com, but, you know, he's probably a legitimate 4-star kid. Eric Boffey would probably be better to answer that question than I do because he does the national rankings. But, you know, he could be a specialist at the next level being a shooter. But I do think that by continuing to hone his handle, get as quick as he can, as lean as he can so he can move his feet a little better, he'll get people to respect him so that they do sag off of him. And when they do sag off of him, his jumper is just money.
Clint Jackson, Rivals.com. You talked about Kevin Herter. You said you loved him. I remember talking to you about him 1 year ago. He ends up at Maryland. Were you surprised that he didn't get an offer from a Duke or from a UNC?
I think I do know UNC watched him. I don't think Duke was in the market for another kid at that position because they had a couple other kids coming in. But, you know, UNC did look at him. I don't know if he played extremely well in front of the UNC staff, but, you know, I think if they had got to see him maybe one more time, they probably would have saw what I saw with Kevin Herter. But, you know, obviously
some other schools did see it, and they moved quicker, and they got him on campus, and, Maryland won his heart. So, he ended up going there, and I think it's a really good fit for him.
Clint Jackson, Rivals.com. We're going to be monitoring this Andrew Platek to North Carolina possibility throughout the next weeks and months if it materializes to be that long and drawn out of a recruiting process. Clint, we appreciate the time. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Clint Jackson. There he goes. Clint Jackson, Rivals.com. Andrew Platek. I cannot believe, that I heard North Carolina had offered him a scholarship. And that's not an indictment on Andrew Platek. He's a very, very good player. But when you start hearing North Carolina, I mean, you're talking about the top players in the entire country. And look, I'm flexible. When I saw Andrew Platek play as a sophomore and a junior, I said to myself, this kid does not go to the hoop enough for me. He is a great shooter. He's a Division I player, no doubt. He didn't go to the hoop enough for me. But if you put him at North Carolina or you put him in a high-end program where there are guys who can just break down a defense and then kick to you, maybe he is the J.J. Redick type. And so Andrew Platek, look, I think he's got a chance to be a very, very successful Division I player wherever it is that he goes, and I'm all about Capital Region kids getting an opportunity to play and play well at the next level and to play at the highest level. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region. So we just mentioned Kevin Herter, and Clint Jackson did as well. Well, Kevin Herter named the Class AA New York State Player of the Year this year. Is there really any surprise? I mean, 21 points a game, led Shen to a regional championship, their second straight, state title the year prior, second consecutive Section 2 title, great court vision, great passing ability, great shot from the outside, more than 21 points a game. Could have been more, but Shen blew so many teams out that he didn't have to play too many fourth quarters, a la Steph Curry. So no surprise that the Maryland-bound seniors, the Class AA Player of the Year, Hamir Wright from Albany Academy named the Class A Player of the Year. So look, last year you had Joe Cremo, who I thought was the best player in Section 2 a year ago. You had him. Then you had Kevin Herter. Now they're both gone. It's going to be Hamir Wright. He carries the torch as the best player in Section 2. He's a 6'9" big man with long arms who can score around the rim, who's got a good mid-range shot, skinny but tough, muscular kid, good vertical leap. He's got major Division I interests as well. Villanova's interested in him. Cincinnati's interested in him. George Washington's interested in him. There are a lot of schools that are in on Hamir Wright. He's the Class A Player of the Year. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, where at Mohawk Honda, they have specialists that can assist you in upgrading your current vehicle to a newer one with no money down for the same or lower payment. Just ask Tiffany, Katie, Fide to see just how easy it is to exchange your vehicle for the same or lower payment. And if new isn't for you, they inventory over 300 of the highest quality pre-owned vehicles, all at one low, below market value, no hassle price. So being number one isn't easy, but at Mohawk Honda, they treat their customers with respect and have been doing it for almost 100 years. 4 generations of the Heritage family proudly serving the Capital Region and trying to go above and beyond for you. Shop the convenient Route 50 in Glenville location to join the number one automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. NFL Draft Day 3 getting ready to go off. Is today the day that Jordan Canzeri, Troy High School graduate, hears his name called? We caught up with him earlier this week. We talk about his chances next.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
NFL Draft Day 3 kicks off today. Iowa running back, Troy High School product, Jordan Canzeri. Could this be the day that his dream comes true? We caught up with Jordan earlier this week. We caught up with him on Monday, so I replayed the interview that I had with Jordan on Monday, okay, asking him about how he was feeling heading into draft week. So I started off the interview with this. Jordan, we're on the eve here of the NFL draft. We're just a few days away. What are your emotions like right now, Jordan Canzeri?
I would just say just right now I'm just real anxious and just been waiting for a long time, just been patient, just grinding, just working out all the time, and just waiting for this day. So now that it's finally just less than a week away, it's just real exciting and something, that I've been looking forward to for years and years.
Have you heard anything further about what your projection might be at this time?
No, not of projections, but just get calls from teams, just making sure that I have the right information on me to call when the day comes. and just been getting a good amount of those. So it's just always good news to hear that.
What's been this process like? We talked right after your season ended at Iowa. Since your season ended at Iowa, what has been the timeline? What has gone on? What have you done to get ready for this week?
Well, it was just as soon as I got back, January 11th, we started our pro day workouts, our NFL workouts, and just week by week, just doing everything that I could just to just better myself and prepare for pro day. Because when you're preparing for that, I was real nervous and just thinking that every single thing that I did was either making me worse or better every day. So I was just very careful on what I did and worked really hard. And actually, the first couple weeks, I was doing a little too much. My strength coach told me, and just due to me running afterwards and days, and I was also working with Tim Dwight, who helped me out a lot, and he just had so much experience and so much to teach me with how to run correctly and really prepare for the 40 that it helped out a lot. And then my strength coach, Chris Doyle, he's just very experienced, and he knows exactly what to do, and he's been doing it for a long time. We're the best in the country, so just to have him as my strength coach, really puts me in a good position to perform well, and just training for that, just every single day, just daily grind. And when it was just funny because I was just, like I said, I was so nervous every single day, just what I did and if it would really affect my pro day negatively or positively. But when the day itself came and all the scouts came to our facility and all 32 teams were represented, I was just completely calm, completely focused and ready to go, and got all good times, got exactly what I needed, and it turned out to be a good day.
Take me through what pro day is like. How long does it last? What workouts did you do? What exercises did you do? Did they want to see the way you catch the ball out of the backfield and the way you the way you receive a handoff? What did they want to see? What did you do?
Well, for pro day, for us, we start off, it's pretty funny because it's almost like an auction. You're just you take your shirt off and you're just in either your spandex or your shorts, and you walk in and they're all just sitting in our team room, and they're watching you, and you get your height, your weight, your hand length, your arm lengths and everything, and get all the details. And so you just have a bunch of NFL scouts just watching you. Gets you a little nervous at first, but and then after that we go down to warm up. We first did our vertical jump, and then to broad jump, and then after that we went out and did all of our running drills, like the 40, the pro agility, the L drill, 3-cone, and some other drills. And then after that we came in and did our bench, and that was another thing that I was told that just looked really good for me, just for my size and how many reps and everything. And then going into after that, we designed a route tree scheme, and we had our own plays written out that we prepared for. We had our just so it was laid out, and it was play. It was easier to just follow and watch. The scouts, they just sat off to the side, and it was me, 2 of my fullbacks, tight end, 4 receivers, and we're just going through routes and everything. And so they just watched that, and then after that, if they wanted to, they would take some guys just to do certain position drills. But for a lot of us, like most of us receivers, we didn't have to do anything afterwards, and like running backs, just because they saw how we could catch the ball and everything, and saw how fluid we were in our running drills and everything. So that's just how it all went down.
What are your plans for draft weekend? Are you watching Are you going to watch the draft? Are you going to stay away from the television coverage? Are you going to be in the Capital Region? Are you going to be somewhere else?
I'm going to be in the area and family and friends, but I don't not positive on where I'll go yet or what I'll do. But yeah, I won't really watch most of the draft, and it's just something that, I don't want. I was just told not to watch because, some people can watch it, and if they see certain people go ahead of them or and such like that, it can cause frustration. And, I'm just waiting for my call. It doesn't matter how it is, drafted or as a free agent. All I want is just to get a call and to just get an opportunity, because that's all I can ask for, is just a shot to show what I can do. And so it does, like I said, it doesn't matter what day, or if it's the third day, if it's the second or whatever. And I don't think like that. I'm not thinking about the rounds or if I get drafted or not. It's just, I just want the opportunity. So I'm just gonna not really watch it, just be with my friends, or just do what I normally do for the first 2 days, and then on the third day might have a get together. Not positive yet, but yeah, like I said, I'm not really focused on all that. All I just want is my opportunity. That's all I need.
You had mentioned to me in January and reiterated now that there is a chance that you go undrafted. Would you take a bet? Are there benefits to going undrafted? You get to choose where you want to go as a free agent signing at that rate. Is there a benefit to that scenario also?
Well, yeah, because all my coaches have told me, and my other teammates in the NFL, that once you really get to like rounds 5th through 7th, there's no difference between a free agent other than just a larger signing bonus. And for free agency, it gives you the opportunity to choose. Like for me, and what you normally do with your agent, that's what my agent's getting together for me, is you develop a list of all the teams that have called, and you put in ranking order of who would be the best fit for you, where you'd have the best opportunity to make a difference and get a better shot. So you had that list ready, and then during the draft, with whoever picks, so like one of those teams picks a running back, like you move them in a different order, you take them off the list, such like that. So when it's towards the end of the draft, instead of just getting picked up by a team that it might not be for your best interest, you're able to free agency look at that list and be like, okay, well, this team will give me the best shot. And when you're in camp, that's how it is. If you're a 5th round draft pick or you're a free agent, we're going to get our shot. We're going to be able to show what we can do. And like I said, that's all I can ask for, and that's all I need. And so the difference between the first paycheck or the first signing bonus has like no real meaning to me. I just want to play for a team, and I want to show them that if they decide to pick me, that they made the right choice.
Well, Jordan, everyone here in the 104.5 The Team Studios is rooting for you to become a part of our teams because, look, I'm a Seahawk fan. Marshawn Lynch is retired. We need some more capable backs, and you could fit that scheme. And Levac's a diehard Raiders fan, and Latavius Murray has some health concerns and things like that, so he wants to see you in Oakland. But no matter what happens, we wish you the best here on draft day 1, 2, or 3, or whatever comes next. We wish you a long and successful career in the NFL. We'll talk to you again down the road.
All right, thanks. Thanks again. That
was Jordan Canzeri earlier this week. Again, obviously, as you could tell, earlier prior to the start of day 1 of the draft, but the content holds the same. Jordan Canzeri waiting for his name, anxious to hear his name called, anxious to receive that call, whether he is selected or whether he is signed as an undrafted free agent. There is a spot for him on an NFL team, the Troy High product. Hopefully doesn't have to wait a whole lot longer today to get that phone call one way or the other. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region. Taking you home here until 10 o'clock. And then reminder today, 4 to 6 p.m., Zach By and I will have a special edition of Capital Region Sports Saturday. Zach was in here earlier talking with Clint Jackson with me, and he's off prepping now, getting ready for that show. That's just the kind of worker he is. 6 hours in advance, he's putting in the work to help put on a good product this afternoon. So we're excited about that. We're also excited about John Sterling, Susan Waldman. We are your home for Yankees baseball, and John and Susan are heading into the New York State Broadcasters Hall of Fame this summer. So they've been together on Yankee broadcasts for 12 years. John Sterling has been with the Yankees since 1989. So John and Susan are heading to the Hall of Fame. Next time you hear a crazy Sterling home run call, just think he's Hall of Fame bound. Bad news for the Yankees. James Caprillion, their top pitching prospect, he is headed to the disabled list this week. He had some elbow inflammation. That is never a good thing when you're talking about pitching prospects. Forearm tightness and elbow inflammation, those are the two things that really get you unnerved when you hear about injuries with pitching prospects. Caprillion, they've said they're going to shut him down for a little while. They're going to be cautious with it. They're going to get him on a throwing program. As of now, I have heard nothing about Caprillion needing surgery, but that is tough for the Yankees because Caprillion is a guy that he's a guy that could have helped the Yankees real early. I mean, when they drafted him last year, first round out of UCLA, it was thought that he was going to be the most college-ready professional arm in this draft. So you don't know how long that means he's going to need in the minors. But the Yankees were looking at him as a guy they could fast-track to the big leagues. He was off to a dynamite start as well for Single A Tampa. It's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your number one volume dealer in the Capital Region, where they have over 1,000 new and pre-owned vehicles available to select from, open extended hours in all of their departments to better service you. You can shop over 10 acres of savings opportunities or go online 24/7 at MohawkHonda.com. And yes, they will provide you the lowest no-hassle price to better suit your budget. Shop the convenient Route 50 and Glenville location to join the number one automotive family at Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. The Giants and the Jets, they both take Ohio State products in the first round. How should you feel about the picks? We've got a Shenendehowa graduate who just finished his third year on the Ohio State coaching staff. He'll tell you about Eli Apple and Darren Lee next.
He learned system limitations.
It's Capital Region Sports Saturday with Brady Farkas, sponsored by Mohawk Honda.
1045 The Team, 1045theteam.com. On the phone right now, Kyle Hendrickson, Shenendehowa graduate, Capital Region product, who just completed a 3-year run as an assistant football coach at Ohio State. Kyle, NFL draft yesterday, 5 Buckeyes taken in the first round. What were you thinking as you were watching it?
Yeah, so I came from the recruiting department at Ohio State. So from a recruiting perspective, seeing 5 guys get taken in the first round, it's really an awesome thing for the school. To see the guys that we brought in and see them go through the program and grow and develop, and then all of a sudden they're on the stage shaking Roger Goodell's hand, going to the NFL. It's really an awesome thing and an awesome promotion for the Ohio State program.
So Joey Bosa gets taken 3rd overall by San Diego, and then Ezekiel Elliott goes 4th overall to Dallas. So back-to-back Buckeyes. What makes each of those players so good?
Yeah, it was cool seeing those guys go back-to-back, too, because they came in as they were roommates as freshmen when they came in. What makes them so good? Bosa, just for starters, he's just an incredibly strong guy. He plays with great leverage, really strong hands. His bull rush is real strong, sends the tackle back into the quarterback, but also he has some athleticism to kind of go around the edge and put a spin move on or a quick swim and rip, something like that. He's going to be just a really steady player right from the start. You can count on him, 8 to 10 sacks a year, strong against the run, just a really good overall player. Zeke might be the safest pick in the first round. Just because as far as a running back, he has pretty much everything you'd be looking for. Urban Meyer liked to talk about he was the best running back he'd ever coached without the ball in his hand. So essentially the effort that he gave in pass blocking or blocking when the quarterback was running was excellent, and that goes along with his great running ability. Real strong, breaks tackles. He's elusive. He has the speed to break away, as you may have seen against Alabama when he ran for 80 yards to clinch that game. Behind that Dallas Cowboys offensive line, too, he could be a really good player right from the start. I would think he'd jump right in and start day one.
Eli Apple goes number 10 overall to the Giants, and some people thought that was a reach pick and that the Giants took Apple about 10 to 15 spots early due to all the chaos that surrounded the Giants pick. They wanted Conklin. They wanted Floyd. They both got taken, so they go with Eli Apple, the DB. What makes him so good? Let's put the Giants fans' minds at rest.
Yeah, well, I am a Giants fan, too, so I was a bit surprised that they did go there, but from a lot that I read afterwards, it sounded like he would have gone pretty quickly after that. So, 13, 14, he would have been gone by then. I think Eli's a guy that kind of came a little bit out of nowhere. He was a redshirt sophomore last year, so he's still really young. He's only 20 years old, and he only played 2 years at Ohio State, started 2 years. He a really high upside guy, though. At the combine, he measured in at 6'1". It's really tough to find corners that big. and he ran a 4.4. That size speed combination is pretty tough to find. And the guy behind him, Hargraves, who I think maybe Giants fans thought they might be taking, he measured in a lot shorter and a bit slower. So it's something to take into account, maybe what the Giants were thinking when they went with Eli. He's really developed fast over the last 2 years. He exploded onto the scene in 2014 for us when he took the starting spot as a redshirt freshman. The thing to keep in mind is that, like I said, he's only 20 years old. So his development is still ongoing, and the strides he's made in the last 2 years to get to this point just show the development that he can make, and his upside is really excellent. And over the next couple of years, as he learns behind the corners that the Giants already have, the Giants could have something really special here when you consider the measurables and the side speed combination that he does have.
Kyle Hendrickson, former Ohio State assistant football coach, just finished up a 3-year term on Urban Meyer's staff. He's a Shenendehowa graduate. He's a Capital Region product. Another Buckeye slides down to number 20, goes to the New York Jets. For all the talks that maybe the Jets would take a Paxton Lynch or take a quarterback, they go with Darren Lee, the linebacker. Tell us about him.
Yeah, I really love this one for the Jets. Darren Lee's maybe one of my favorite recruiting stories. He was a high school quarterback in the Columbus, Ohio area, an underheralded recruit. He wasn't really recruited by a lot of top programs. He kept showing up at our camps that we run in the summer where we evaluate prospects. And he came once and he didn't get an offer. He came back twice, 3 times, still didn't get an offer. We asked him to come back another time because we just weren't sure if we wanted to give him a scholarship offer and have him come to Ohio State. He came back for a 4th time. The kid knew that he wanted to go to Ohio State, and he did whatever it took to be able to get there. And on his 4th try, at his 4th camp in front of Urban Meyer and all the coaches, he finally earned that scholarship offer. Redshirted his freshman year. We moved him to linebacker. As a redshirt freshman, about a year removed from being a high school quarterback, he was our starting linebacker for the national championship team. He's kind of the perfect fit for what today's NFL needs from a linebacker. He's not as big as you would expect from a linebacker. He's about 6'1", 230, but his speed and his athleticism is off the charts, especially at the linebacker position. He can cover guys. He can go sideline to sideline to run down running backs. He can rush the passer. He's that 3-down linebacker that teams are craving today in today's NFL. He'll never have to leave the field. And his speed and his athleticism and his tenacity are something I think Jets fans are really going to love.
Kyle, moving off of the Buckeyes, but to the local side of things, a guy who through the time in the Big Ten is Iowa running back Jordan Canzeri, who's a Troy High School product. We don't know if he's going to hear his name called. If it does happen, it's probably going to be between rounds 5 through 7. But, I think he's prepared to be an undrafted free agent. How cool would it be for you to not only see a Big Ten product get drafted or get signed, but also see a 518 Capital Region guy go to the NFL level as well?
Yeah, that'd be really awesome. I remember, I played at Shen, but Troy was a year or 2 after me, so I never got to play against him. But I always enjoyed following his career, and anyone that comes out of the Capital Region, it's always interesting to see what they do. He had a really strong career at Iowa. He dealt with some injury issues, if I remember correctly, but it would really be awesome, and it would kind of show that the Capital Region can produce just as good athletes as really anywhere.
Kyle Hendrickson, 3 years on the coaching staff for Urban Meyer at Ohio State, just completed that 3-year run in the recruiting department. Kyle, awesome insight. We appreciate it. Giants, Jets fans, be happy with your picks. Kyle, appreciate the time.
All right, thanks so much.
Awesome insight there from Kyle Hendrickson, former Shenendehowa football player, now former assistant coach under Urban Meyer at Ohio State's Capital Region Sports Saturday, brought to you by Mohawk Honda, your #1 volume dealer in the Capital Region.